everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Kristen, and I hope you decide to stick around by hitting that subscribe button. I upload videos every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. So today I thought we would just do something a little more fun and lighthearted, and I would tell you guys Banjo's adoption story. So Banjo is my 3-year-old male cat. He's my big baby. He was my first baby from when I moved in to my own place. And we have a special bond. He's just my little boy. I don't know how long he's going to stick around with us. I kind of disturbed him from sleeping. He was taking a nap. But yeah, I just thought I'd go ahead and tell you his adoption story. There you go, buddy. You can leave. I know you're not wanting to hang out here. Oh, do you want to come back around? Are you going to stay? Can I snuggle with you? Can I get some kitty snuggle? Can we talk about how big he is? He is just like a big cat. Like, he's as broad as my shoulders. He's tall. He's like nearly 20 pounds. He's not fat and overweight. He's just big. And he is purring. So this isn't like complete hate right here. Can we get thumbnail? So he's just a big boy. Molly, stop. My dog is so jealous. Anytime the cats get attention, she wants to get in their face. So, Banjo's adoption story. This is probably going to be a little bit of a long one, but it's a happy one. So, okay, see you later. Peace out. I don't know what that was about, but he's done with the lovin's apparently. So, when I first moved in with my husband, at the time he was my boyfriend, I was really lonely because of the hours that I worked. I worked Thursday through Sunday and he worked Monday through Friday. So a lot of the time I was at our apartment by myself. And so he decided to bring his dog to come live with us. When we first got together, he had 3 dogs and he lived out in the country. His parents had a house out in the country, and the way it was set up was that originally his grandparents had a farmhouse. They had like 80 acres or 800 acres, or I don't remember, but they had like a ton of farmland. But then once his grandparents passed away, the land got split up amongst their 4 kids, which would be my in-laws, and my father-in-law and mother-in-law decided to build a house on the front part of the land, which was part of their inheritance, and then his sister on another part of land built a house, etc., etc. So behind my in-laws' house, probably, I don't know, somewhere between 3 to 4 acres behind their house, was my husband's grandparents' house. I don't know why I'm telling this whole story because it's not super important. But when we got together, that's where he was living, was his grandparents' old house. He had 3 dogs. But he decided to move closer to me. He also got a job closer to me, and we ended up getting an apartment. And as I mentioned, I was lonely there by myself. So he decided to bring his best dog to come and live with us. And I say that just because she was best suited for indoor pet life. The other 2 were not going to make very good apartment dogs. So we had JJ, and JJ was like the best dog ever. Like, she was amazing. I loved her to death. While living in the apartment, we also ended up getting a couple of ferrets, which we loved our female ferret, and then we got a male ferret, and I don't know why my husband had such an allergic reaction to the male ferret, but it was seriously where the point where like my husband would come home and like he would have to go to the bedroom if the ferrets were out. He could not be around them. His eyes would get red and puffy. He couldn't see. He'd have problems breathing. He didn't have these issues when it was just the female, but when we had the male and the female, it got really bad. So we took it to where we had them in our back bedroom in our apartment. It was kind of like the ferret room. My husband just couldn't go back there. The ferrets weren't allowed out in the rest of the apartment with us. So it wasn't like a great situation, but that's kind of how we were for the first year that we were together. Towards the end of that year, my in-laws' house got hit by a tornado, and that brings Sammy into play. Sammy was one of my husband's other dogs that we left on the farm. He had Sammy, Chloe, and JJ. JJ came to live with us. During that first year of Mike being gone, Chloe ended up getting hit by a car. She, after Mike moved away from home, took to chasing cars, and she got hit by one. So she wasn't around anymore. And then there was Sammy. And Chloe and Sammy, when they got left there, they kind of became my in-laws' dogs. They were taking care of them. They would sleep in the garage at night, but then they wanted to be out roaming the farmland during the day. So they weren't just like abandoned, okay? They kind of became my in-laws' dogs. But towards the end of our first year in our apartment, my in-laws' house got hit by a tornado. And we don't exactly know what all went down. My in-laws had packed up when they heard the sirens and went to my father-in-law's sister's house where she had a basement, so they were in the basement. And somehow during the whole tornado hitting the house thing, Sammy ended up getting inside the house, because when this happened, like they didn't know where Sammy was. Like if they could have got a hold of Sammy, I'm sure they would have taken her to the basement with them at the other house. But like, she's a farm dog. She's off doing whatever farm dogs do. So during this time frame, Sammy somehow ends up getting into the house, and the house got hit by a tornado and a brick wall fell on top of her. And she ended up getting a really bad gash across one of her legs that had to be stitched up, and she ended up being at the veterinary clinic for like 2+ weeks. It was quite a while. And in that time frame, my in-laws had to go find a house to rent because it was going to take a long time for their house to get rebuilt, obviously. And so as soon as Sammy got released, we talked to our apartment complex about bringing her to live with us. And she just was not well suited for apartment life. She really wasn't. I think we had her with us in the apartment for like 1 month until our lease was up in the apartment, and then we moved to a trailer. As soon as we moved into the trailer, almost, we rehomed the ferrets. They were very well bonded together, so we didn't want to separate them, and Mike just had such allergy issues being around them. And when we moved into the trailer, we didn't feel like the room was ferret proof enough to let them just have room to themselves. So we went ahead and rehomed them. Part of it, I think, if I remember correctly, the doors in the trailer, they didn't go all the way down to the ground, so we were afraid that the ferrets would come under the door and then like we wouldn't be able to contain them, a kind of situation. So we rehomed the ferrets, and we had JJ and Sammy. And things weren't great, but they were okay. JJ and Sammy would pretty much race each other every morning to the living room to see who could pee on the floor first, which prior to getting Sammy, JJ had no issues with being indoors. She was fully potty trained. We never had any problems. Enter Sammy, and suddenly every morning it's a pissing contest, quite literally, who can pee on the floor the first. Things like that. It was annoying, but it was like, whatever, keep working with her. So a few months into being in our trailer, someone posted a cat for free. It was a pregnant cat, and she just broke my heart, because this cat, and she was a gorgeous cat, like gorgeous cat. If I have a picture of Shay, I will list it, but I only had her for such a short time period. I don't even know if I have any pictures of her. But if I do, I'll post some pictures of Sammy and of Shay and of JJ so you guys know what I'm talking about here. JJ is the black dog, Sammy is the black and brown, and then Shay is the cat, obviously. So, someone posted about this pregnant female cat that needed to be rehomed. The lady said that her neighbors had just up and moved away, and they left their cat and their pit bull outside, just abandoned them. So she was able to find a home or something for the pit bull, and they decided to keep the cat, and the cat was hanging around. And it wasn't very long until they realized the cat was pregnant, and her husband told her that she needed to either rehome the cat or it was going to go to the Humane Society. And that just broke my heart. She was a gorgeous cat, and I talked to Mike, and I was like, you know what are your thoughts on adopting this cat? It'll be really fun to have the kittens, and then we can rehome the kittens. And, you know, if things work out with the cat, we'll keep the cat. You know, what are your thoughts on that? And he was like, yeah, we can go ahead and do that. He was like, you know, I used to have a cat, and JJ and Sammy were fine with it, so, you know, go ahead and go get her, and we'll see how it goes, you know. And I'm a firm believer that sometimes people are just stepping stones in an animal finding their forever home. I understand and I fully know from personal experience that not every home is going to be a perfect fit for every animal, but I think that whatever you can do to help keep animals out of the humane society is awesome. So if you have to get rid of a pet, I really think that trying to rehome them yourself is the best option. I know that not everybody has the ability to do that, but that's just my personal opinion on the matter. So I drove, I think, like 2 hours north to pick up Shay, which is the name that I gave her, and brought her home, and her and I were just tight. Like, and I had never had a cat before. Well, I can't say never. I had a cat for a short time when I was really little, but it didn't work out. That cat was just psychotic. It didn't want to be an inside cat. My parents rehomed it with some lady who let it be an outside cat, and that cat became that lady's like favorite pet, which I was like, have fun with that, because she's like the demon incarnate. Anyways, I never really had good experiences with cats. So we bring home Shay, and Shay and I just like hit it off. And everything's peachy keen, everything's fine. I'm doing research on pregnant cats. Turns out that pregnant cats tend to be more loving when they're pregnant, so their temperament can definitely change after they have kittens. So I was just kind of aware of that, because at the time Shay was like super loving and I adored her. She kind of took up to one of our spare rooms and hung out in there a lot. The door was always cracked so she could come and go, but that just kind of became her spot. So she was always in the spare room. So we set up a birthing area for her, and she had like a window seat that she liked to sit on, and everything was just set up in there for her, and she would come out to eat and drink and then go back into her bedroom. So where things kind of start to hit the fan. During this time frame of having all three of the animals in the trailer, Sammy, especially after we brought home the cat, started getting more aggressive, but she was becoming more aggressive towards JJ. Like, her and JJ were having like full on fights. I was afraid to break it up. I was afraid I would get bit. The urinating in the house was getting so bad. Like, I literally couldn't get the smell out of the carpet no matter how much I cleaned it. It was just getting, it was always in the same spot. And so that was getting really bad. Her overall temperament is just, it was not good. And so I started kind of talking to Mike about, like, maybe we need to find Sammy a new home, because this just isn't working out for her. It's not working out for us either. But he wanted to keep her. He's like, no, I really want to keep her. You know, we'll do A, B, C, and D. And so we were crate training her. At one point, we even had diapers for her to try to get her to stop peeing. Oh my gosh, this one time she peed in a diaper. It was probably the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And the look on her face was like complete regret, but like she couldn't stop. Like, it was hilarious. But anyways, we were like trying everything we could think of to try and to get the dogs to get along and to get things sorted out. So one day, Shay happened to just come out of her room, and I've been down and I start petting Shay, and then JJ comes up, and so I start petting JJ, one in each hand. Everything's fine. And then Sammy comes up and wants to get petted, and she's in like the middle. And so I'm kind of alternating between the animals. And at one point, I change hands. I go from petting Sammy to petting Shay, and Sammy just flipped. She's a pretty big dog. She was a good size. I'd say every bit of 30 to 40 pounds of a dog. She reaches over and grabs Shay by the throat and flings her into our dining room table. And poor Shay like hits her pregnant belly into the legs of the table, and then she jumps up and tries to run away. Sammy chases after her, grabs her again, and throws her into our kitchen island. At that point, I'm finally able to get a hold of Sammy, and Shay takes off and runs to the back room. And when Mike gets home, I tell him what happened, and I'm like, look, things are not working out. Like, she just attacked my cat. Like, what are we doing here? And Mike's like, well, we'll just have to keep the cat in the back room until she has her kittens, and we'll just work on it, and I'm sure things will get better. And I'm like, okay, you know, it's your dog. I don't want to make you get rid of your dog. But, like, it's not working. Like, she's not functioning well with other animals. Well, it wasn't too long after that Mike was in the bedroom taking a nap or something, and Sammy came in and peed and shit on the bed. And that was it for Mike. He was like, we're done, find her a new home. Which I was able to find her a home with this couple who weren't able to have kids. So Sammy became like their baby, and they had a big fenced-in backyard that she could run in. And that was another part of our problem, was that we lived in a trailer park. We had a decent yard, but we weren't allowed to fence it, so she had to be on a chain, and we couldn't just let her out to run, which is what she was used to when she lived at my in-laws. And so, like, our house just wasn't good for her. She needed to be in a home where she had a large yard to run and where she could be the only pet. That's really what she needed. Even when she lived on the farm with my in-laws, she was the dominant dog, and that's pretty much it. Like, and there was nothing enclosed. Like, she could get away from other animals if she wanted to. She wasn't like cooped up in a house with them. And so, like, our living situation just wasn't good for her. So, to my knowledge, she still lives with this couple. I kept up with them for a few years. We have since lost touch, but I'm assuming that she's still their baby. They were very much in love with her, so I really have a hard time believing they would have gotten rid of her. So, that left us with JJ and Shay. And after Shay got attacked by Sammy, Shay decided that all dogs were evil. And she didn't want to be around Shay or JJ. And JJ was just the lovingest dog. She loved everybody, loved everything. And she would want to love on Shay, and Shay would be like, no. And she would hiss and scratch and hiss at JJ. And it was getting to where we couldn't have JJ and Shay around each other. And Shay just spent most of her time in the back bedroom. And it got to a point where if we were going to, I keep saying the back bedroom. Our bedroom in the trailer was the back bedroom. Shay hung out in the middle room. That's what I should be saying. And so to get to our room, we would have to go past Shay's room. And JJ slept in our bedroom, but it got to the point where if we were telling her to go to bed, she would not walk down the hallway if she knew Shay was in the bedroom, because Shay would sometimes come out and attack JJ. And so JJ would sit at the end of the hallway and look at me and cry and wag her tail, and you could tell like she was just afraid to come down the hallway because she didn't want to get attacked. So we ended up moving food and water into the room for Shay and just pretty much keeping her door shut because, you know, that wasn't fair to Sam, because that wasn't fair to JJ, because JJ kept getting attacked by Shay. And so we kind of had a feeling things weren't working out with Shay, but we figured we'd let her have her kittens, we'd rehome the kittens, and we would just see how things go. So she ends up having her kittens, and she's a great mama cat, and we ended up taking in like 3 or 4 abandoned kittens, and she ended up adopting them. And one of them was Banjo. So Banjo got listed on the garage sale site. He was one of 2 male kittens that got abandoned. They were both black. They were like identical to each other. And the lady who posted them said that they got abandoned. They still needed to nurse, and was just looking to see if anybody had a mama cat that would take them in. And at this point, Shay had already taken in like 3 other abandoned kittens, and so I was like, yeah, you know, we can try it. She took on 3 others. We'll see how she does with these ones. So I went to go pick up Banjo and his brother. Well, we get there to pick up this kitten, and the lady just hands me one. And I was like, oh, I thought there was 2. And she's like, well, there is, but my neighbor decided she wanted to keep one of them. So like, oh, okay, so we have 1. I instantly fall in love with him. He is the cutest little kitten with the biggest blue eyes. And the lady tells me we've been calling him Lunchbox because he likes to eat a lot. And I can definitely agree that that was a fitting name for him. He still likes to eat a lot. But I decided to name him Banjo after my grandpa. He fought in World War II, and I don't really understand why, but he always said that his nickname in the army was Banjo Eyes because he had blue eyes. And that's as far as he went with that nickname. He never like really super explained it. He only ever said that he was called Banjo Eyes because he has blue eyes. So Banjo, as I mentioned, had like the biggest blue eyes. So I named him Banjo after my grandpa. And I kind of knew already that I was going to keep this kitten. Like, I was in love with him. He was the cutest thing ever. I will insert Banjo's baby pictures. heart. He is like so cute as a kitten. Oh my goodness. So cute. So we end up with Banjo. Pretty simple, pretty easy, nothing super complicated about it. I do have Oliver's adoption story up on my channel if you guys want to go watch that. That one's a little bit more heartbreaking. He was not in good shape when I got him, but I'll leave his story down below. Oliver is my orange cat for anyone who is just tuning in. He's a sweet pea. Oh my gosh, you couldn't meet a sweeter cat than Oliver. But he's also my scaredy cat. Like, he's afraid of everything. He hides anytime we have company. He's great with me and my husband and my son, and he's great with Banjo, and he's great with Molly, but anytime we have company, he's gone. Like, you would never know that we have another cat. Banjo, on the other hand, is definitely more outgoing. I would almost call him our guard cat. So far, he seems to hate anybody named Craig. I have an uncle named Craig. He bit him in the leg and drew blood. We have a nephew named Craig. He doesn't like him, and Banjo has to get locked up in the basement anytime either of them come over, along with a handful of other people. He just kind of has to get locked in the basement because he can't handle himself. He's a great cat with the immediate family, and he loves my parents. He loves my dad. And my dad is not a cat person, but Banjo has just like taken on to my dad. Like, my dad came over to visit the other day, and Banjo was like sitting back at the back door waiting for my dad to come in because he knew my dad was outside, just waiting for him to come in and say hi to him. But anyways, back to the story with all of the other animals. I know this is kind of getting long, but I figured I'd just go ahead and finish it all up. So we ended up rehoming all of the kittens except for Banjo. Lolly was another kitten we were going to keep. And then we had a calico we were going to keep, and then we had Shay. Well, things with JJ and Shay were just not going well, and we weren't going to rehome JJ. Like, we adore JJ. And Shay was the problem. She kept attacking JJ. So I talked to a coworker, and it turned out that my coworker lived out in the country, and she was looking for more cats. She had a barn, she had 2 cats already, and she wanted more outside cats. And she said that we could bring Shay to go live with her. So we took Shay to her house, and Shay still lives there. It's been like 3 years, and Shay's still living there. Shay goes between my old coworker's house and their neighbors. Their neighbor likes to feed the cats as well, so they kind of go back and forth. And she's happy living on a farm. I guess it's what she needed. There's no dogs. It's just her and the other cats. The other calico we wanted to keep, but that cat, for whatever reason, like, would not learn how to go to a litter box. Like, she was constantly going behind our entertainment center and doing her business back there. And we just could not litter box train her. So a couple of days after taking Shay to my coworkers, we also took the calico. So then Shay had her daughter with her, and to my knowledge, they're all still there. I haven't had contact with my old coworker in probably 6 months, but as of 6 months ago, last time I seen her, Shay and the calico were still there. And her granddaughter loved Shay. Like, she would carry Shay around. So I'm sure Shay's still there. I'm assuming Shay's daughter, the calico, is still there, and they're all happy. And a lot of Shay's other kittens went to like family and friends. I know my friend Heather has one of Shay's kittens. And then we have Banjo, etc., etc. They all were able to be rehomed. None of them went to the Humane Society. So everything worked out really nicely in that sense. Then we had, as I mentioned, we had JJ, Banjo, and Lolly. Lolly was another one of the kittens. She happened to be an adopted kitten to Shay. She was one of my cousin's cat's kittens, and she got abandoned pretty much. Wasn't being nursed or taken care of anymore, so we took her in, and Shay adopted her, and I loved Lolly. She was like the sweetest cat. We got her and Banjo within a day of each other, and everything was fine for like the first 6 months. And then I don't know what happened, but Shay just started going kind of nutty, and we knew she was an inbred cat. We knew that her dad was also her brother, and he was inbred, and then her mom was also her grandmother. So we're thinking that's probably what it was just her genetics started kicking in, because she would do like nutty ass shit, like run into walls out of nowhere, just like run into them. Like literally she'd just be sitting there and just take off running and run into a wall. And her temperament started changing around the same time that she started running into walls and just doing stupid, crazy things. She went from being such a sweet cat to started, like, didn't want to be touched, didn't want us looking at her. Like, she would hiss at us and try to scratch at us if we tried to pick her up. She just, like, started losing her marbles. And she got to where, like, she would literally walk up to you and pee and then turn around and walk away. For no reason. Like, I can remember walking down the hallway and her running up to me and taking a pee and then turning around and running away. And on the other hand, she'd still be using the litter box. I don't know what happened with her. She just, like, lost her marbles. And I really contribute that to her being inbred. Which, her being inbred is kind of where she got the name Lolly. If you guys watched Game of Thrones, you'll remember from, like, the first season, they had that really stupid girl who ended up getting raped and pregnant. Her name was Lawless, and they called her Lolly for short. At least I think they called her Lolly. Maybe her name was just Lawless in the book. But we named Lolly Lawless, and we called her Lolly because she was inbred and just stupid. Like, she just did stupid shit. So we ended up taking her to my in-laws' house. As I had mentioned previously, their house had been hit by a tornado. By this time, their new house was being built, and around this time frame, their new house was being built, and my mother-in-law had a really sweet outside cat that she adored. And someone who was a worker for their house decided to curb stomp her cat in the face, and they ended up having to put her down because she was just, it was bad. So they don't know what worker did it, but they have a feeling, they have an idea. And this cat was just super sweet, loved attention, and would just follow people around. And they think that what happened was that she was just following a worker around and wouldn't stop, got annoying, and they decided to curb stomp her for whatever reason. But they just busted her whole face up, and she had to get put to sleep. So not too long after all of this, my in-laws moved into their new house. And then we have all these problems going on with Lolly. And so my mother-in-law was like, you know, you can bring her out here, and we can try her out as an outside cat. So we took her to my in-laws. She hung around for like a day or so, and then she disappeared. We don't know what happened to her. We were really hoping that she would, you know, like it there and decide to stick around, but she disappeared. She could be at one of their neighbors. She could have got eaten by coyotes. We don't really know what happened to Lolly. She just disappeared. But after that, we had JJ and Banjo. And as I mentioned, Banjo was like my first baby. Like literally, I know we had other pets, but he was like my baby. He was my kitten. Like, raised him from infanthood. Always had him. He was like my little buddy, super attached to him. Yeah, we're like this. He's not going anywhere. He's my bro. And then JJ, why we don't have her anymore, since we're on this line of the story, she was an old dog when she came to live with us. She was like 11 or 12 years old. And she ended up having, we'll just go with long story short. She ended up getting cancer in her shoulder blade, and our veterinarian said that she just needed to have her leg amputated, and that would probably fix the problem. So we went ahead and booked the appointment to have her leg amputated, and she died during surgery. So that's why we don't have JJ anymore. After that, we ended up getting Molly, which I can do Molly's adoption story if you guys want me to. Now we have Molly, Banjo, and Oliver. That's all three of our pets. Again, Oliver's adoption story will be listed down below if you guys want to go watch that one. I know this one was super long, but I really hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.